You know, I really think the inspiration started years and years and years and years, even before 25 years ago. I was always a big fan of the book Man, Child in the Promised Land by Claude Brown. And it's a book that I always hoped one day to film. Just the idea of, Claude when he was a young kid, going out on the streets, getting into his adventures and misadventures at a young age. And it reminded me of my growing up, because when I left the house, my mother never knew what I was doing, and I would get into all kinds of stuff. And then when I got out of NYU, when I graduated from NYU, I had the idea of doing this story of film noir with the protagonists being 16, 17-year-old kids in Harlem. And so I started doing some research. And at that time, we were looking at how guns had become so prevalent. They were, seeping into and getting in the hands of younger people. So when I did the first draft of Juice, that was one of the things that I wanted incorporated into it, because, like I said, I wanted to make it a film noir. And to get an idea of who these characters were, I interviewed my brother-in-law, who at that time was 17 years old, living in Harlem. And I got together with a bunch of him and his friends, and I tape recorded, their kind of some of their experiences, some of their philosophies about being out on the street, some things that they had run into.
Well, once again, it's on. What you talking about? It's on. Man, what this nigga talking about now?
Sticking up old man call it Saturday night.
What?
The prevalence of guns and the growing prevalence of guns, which wasn't really there when we first started, but just seeing it in the news every single day made us put it in there. And that was how we developed the idea of that central action that causes everything. The idea was to have it be a typical day in the life of these guys, and being out on the street, being harassed, and being challenged on their own turf, their own home turf, and how that starts this spiral of violence.
We ain't shit. Man, what's your problem?
It was just a great idea for a thriller type situation involving kids.
I think that'll work.
When Gerard and I wrote it, we pretty much figured that it would be something that I could shoot in 16 millimeter, maybe for $200,000. A little bit the way, Spike did She's Gotta Have It.
Enough respect.
When we started getting notes from the Donner Company, they had a list of potential directors. It was like 2 pages long. My name was the last one at the very bottom.
Oh.
When they had list of actors that they thought should be in this, Malcolm Jamal Warner, kids who were known for being on television.
Everybody know them. You just local.
And then we started getting story notes from the Donner Company. Maybe we need to lighten it up, make it more of a comedy. Gerard and I looked at each other. We said, no.
And you said no? Oh yeah, I said no. What is you crazy, yo?
We were aware of so many movies that started out as great projects but just got developed into pieces of shit. And we did not want that to happen. And we took the script back. Even though we could have made a lot of money on it, but you still got to face yourself in the mirror in the morning. Then one day I get a phone call.
What up?
Young, British accented voice. He said, hello, my name is David Heyman. I read your script to Juice, and I really want to talk to you about it.
I read the script for Juice as a writing sample. It was given me by my best friend, Peter Frankfurt, and he suggested I read it because we were talking about doing another project together, and read the script and absolutely loved it.
And he asked me, well, how do you see the movie? I mean, I'm curious, how did you see the movie? Because you took it away from the Donner Company. And I said, yeah. I said, it's a noir, man. It's a film noir. It's got to be gritty. It's got to be real. And I said, there's no actors that we know of that can play these roles. This is a chance to really bring up some new young untried talent.
Action!
And I said, it can't be shot in a studio. It's got to be all location. It's got to be Harlem. There are great locations in Harlem. There are alleyways. There's great structures that make great backgrounds to really make this like a real city within a city.
And he had such a clear vision of what it was he wanted to do. And this was a world I was interested in. This was a story I was interested in. It felt both genre, but also a timeless story.
And we talked for about 2 hours. He let me talk for about 2 hours. And at the end of it, he said, I like it. You want me to get funding for it? I said, yeah, you know. When we took the script back, Peter Frankfurt, who was partnered with David, he was working with the Donner Company when he showed the script to David and Neil Moritz, because they were looking for something to initiate them as producers, and this was it, and that's how it started.
Yo, Bishop!
Wax, punk. Man, people been saying that you say bust my ass.
I think it was a movie that the studio executives were scared of. That's what I think. I think they were scared. And
Listen,
Yeah,
it's so...
people look at the heroes have to be all good, bad guys have to be all bad. Ambiguity, a gray area is not
That's
something
scary,
people
dude.
in Hollywood are that comfortable with. Now there are exceptions, of course.
like us. We had seen all the movies that Ernest had shot. Whether he could direct actors, we didn't know. We didn't know. It was.
But you spend time with him and you see how he is with people, and you see how Ernest storyboarded the entire movie. Every single shot of this movie he had on paper.
Including
And-
all the ones we didn't have time to shoot.
Right. And
Or the
he's
money
very
shoots.
collaborative, he's very quick on his feet. There's a great security in having someone like Ernest Dickerson to work with.
Hey! Oh, that's it? Hey! One take? One more. One take. Make sure I'm coming. We did this shit in one. Yeah. Just like that. That was good.
And Ernest just kind of let us rip, you know, because the script, they'd written the script, you know, a few years prior, so there was a few jive turkeys in the dialogue. But they just said, you know, you know what this moment is, you know what these beats are, just say it how you would say it. So we were just kind of, you know, flowing, ad-libbing.
Yeah, but I'm saying I gotta see her. You'll see her inside. Huh? No, I'm saying you'll see her. You'll see her inside. You'll see her. No. I'm being serious. When should she come up? Because sometimes she comes fast and
The energy between us, I mean, I think the casting was brilliant because we kind of had that, you know, offset. We just had that dynamic between us naturally. So we just pushed it further, you know. And when the cameras came on, it was like, gotta rock and roll.
Within the first couple of days, you could tell that something special was happening. There was a vibe, you know, the scenes were popping. I mean, even the other actors like Vincent Loresca that were coming in were doing work, you know.
Boy, you tell me like me, because I say, you feel it. When they come, if you look at the facts, you're gonna follow in your pause. That's when you go crazy. And I can't, you know, I'm screaming. I'm like, yeah, I'm like,
What I do, I'll go crazy slower.
No, white heat, do white heat.
Even more mine too. You're like, yo, fuck
Yeah, he be doing it good. He be overreacting.
I'm trying to get the line in.
I'm like,
Because you got to react to that when I say, yeah, man, it's just bullshit. He didn't mean it.
that should be a moment between me and you, though. Like, I'm looking at you like,
Exactly.
I owe you one job. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of
It's
it.
bullshit because I'm not even trying to be hard. I'm like, yo, man.
Yeah,
bullshit.
I respect,
Me.
we friends and shit, so I just be like, yo, you know.
I mean, it was one of the best films that, you know, I was, sets anyway that I can say. I guess because I was young, I hadn't experienced that. I was so influenced by hip hop, you know, and, you know, be doing this movie and then, you know, all the hip hop legends that I listen to and, you know, I love to hear, you know, I'm in a movie with them. I mean, there you rubbing elbows with them, you know, every evening until the morning comes up.
There was a lot of things jumping off, like from there. Queen Latifah was on the set. Pac was partying on a whole nother level. You know, he had Digital Underground coming up to the set. I was a huge EPMD fan. So I was excited. To me, you know, Eric and Parrish, it was cool. Tretch and Naughty by Nature was about to drop. It was a lively set.
I mean, New York is his own character, right? So it's that cliche of, you know, we're filming and you hear somebody, shut up, you know, stop making noise. All that stuff was happening. And yeah, we were filming in Harlem, like in the belly of the beast, so to say. So all of that was going on as well.
Pac had a thing, man, like he wanted to save the hood, you know. So he was inviting all these young cats into his trailer and trying to befriend them and talk to them and get in their head and get them right.
You know, they go in his trailer, you know, talking and stuff. Tupac had some jewelry, and one day the jewelry wound up missing. And the producers said, look, man, we're sorry about what happened, we'll replace all of it. And Tupac said, no, I'll deal with it. So right after that, Tupac had this guy hanging out with him who was like a man mountain, huge, big person, big, wide, and tall. Looked like the Hulk. I remember we were setting up the scene of Khalil's character's funeral, and I saw the producers in a huddle over in the corner. And I walked over, I said, okay guys, what's happening? And they said, go back to setting up the scene, man. You should not have to worry about this. And I said, no, it's gonna affect the day. So I gotta know what's up. So tell me, what happened? Well, apparently Tupac and the big guy found the guy and they were out on the street, people hanging out their windows saying, leave that boy alone, leave that kid alone. And I'm going, oh God. So sometimes, you know, he would, Tupac would let his emotional nature get the better of him.
Yeah, give me the piece, Bishop. No. What the hell you mean no? I ain't giving this up till I say so. I ain't playing.
Well, Tupac was phenomenal. Like, I mean, you know, that was real in them scenes. Like, you know, it was easy for me to do what I needed to do when I'm sparring with a actor like Tupac. And, you know, hell, even with Omar and a lot of the scenes with him and Pac, you looking at, you know, you're in there.
Pac and I would just go back and forth, because he was, you know, he was a brilliant writer in his own right. So he would really think about some of these things and just, you know, hit you with a wallop in the scene, and you're like, oh, you know. And so for me, it really, that experience taught me to really be present within the character, you know, beyond training, as it were. But you had to be on your toes with Pac, because, you know, he could hit you with something that they'd just have you frozen and then like say something. He's a brilliant actor.
Fuck you, man. Yo, chill. No, fuck chill. Check yourself, Q. You gotta snap some collars and let them motherfuckers know you there to take them out anytime you feel like it. You gotta get the ground beneath your feet, partner. Get the wind behind your back and go out in the blaze if you got to. Otherwise, you ain't shit. You might as well be dead your damn self.
Part of who Bishop is was shaped by what he knows or what he has heard happened to his father in prison. We see that his father was traumatized. So, as scripted, when we did the final fight between Bishop and Q on the rooftop, and Bishop goes over, and Q holds on to him.
Come on, Q, don't let me go! I got you, Bishop, man, come on. Q, don't let me go!
Then he hears police sirens coming, getting closer.
Hold on, man. Come on, man, help me out here, man.
He hears the cops coming, and he stops struggling, and he looks in Q's eyes, and he says, I'm not going to jail.
What you doing, man? Come on, pull up, B, don't let go. I ain't going to jail. Come on, B, man, don't punk out on me now. Come on, man.
And he lets go. He would rather die than go to jail. It was just an attitude that showed that Bishop wasn't a punk. And that he was a force that really had to be reckoned with and dealt with in the right way. And that was the ending, and we showed the ending, and we had test screenings. You know, the problem with test screening, sometimes you allow people a chance to be a film critic. Little things like when Q throws the gun away. People are saying, oh man, why are you doing that? You know, no, don't throw that gun away, shoot that motherfucker, you know? But apparently the audience had a real problem with the fact that the quote-unquote villain of our movie decided how he was going to go out. The studio made a not-so-veiled threat, say, look, we want you to change this ending. It's got to look like maybe Bishop slips out of Q's hands, that it wasn't Bishop's idea to die. If you don't make these changes, we probably won't support the movie in the way you would want this movie supported. And then they wanted a scream. The studio said, maybe just to make sure that the audience knows what happened, Bishop should scream as he's falling, which was totally not the idea. The idea is that Bishop was supposed to fall silently into the abyss. That was my feeling. He elects to die, he lets go, he falls silently into the abyss. So when we did the ADR, Tupac came in and he said, it's bullshit. I said, yeah, it is. It is bullshit. And he said, well, I gotta scream. I said, yeah. He said, can I do a half-ass scream? I said, yeah. I said, yeah, give me a half-ass scream, man, because maybe one day I'll be able to put it back the way it is. That's why the scream in there is half-ass, because, you know, because it was protest against the changing of the ending, because I think it really robs that character of so much power. You know, and it's something I always regretted, having to change.
You got the juice now, man.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of tense moments, but for me, you know, I just related so much to the environment, the characters, what Ernest was saying through the film is what I grew up in. You know, I'm a kid from the hood in Brooklyn, single parent household, so it's just, all of these messages were part of the messages that my mother raised me with in terms of trying to stay on the right track and do the right thing in life and pick the right people around you and what happens when you go down the wrong side of the tracks.
What I love about Juice, and I think why it still resonates 25 years later, is that all of those 4 characters, as a young black man, a young American black man, I have all 4 of those guys in me. All 4 of those characters speak to a place in me. I know it, I understand it, I deal with it on a daily basis, and to this day, that still exists.
Yo, let's go to Steele's house. His mom's ain't home. Nah.
This is like the 90s, quintessential. The music, the clothes, the attitude.
You know, Juice was, you know, it was a hip-hop movie. You know, and it's been respected as that, and I really appreciate that.
You know, we just had to get it right, you know, and in getting it right means that you treat the culture with respect.
It was so of its time, you know?
The music is live, the emotion and connection is intense, and the performances are something special. I haven't seen sort of a crew like that, you know, connections like that in a long time. I'm looking forward to seeing it again.